So let's now give our predictions on who we think will make the playoffs in the LEC. 6 teams that we will say, yes, this is the way that the brackets will shake down. These will be our final standings at the end of the Super Week. Jacob, let's start with you. Pick your 6 teams. Give us your bracketology. How will the LEC shake down this weekend?
I think my 6 teams are the ones actually who are top 6 at this current moment, and that's Mad Lions, Rogue, G2, SK, XL, and Fnatic. I think that if I had to change anything, I think it would be that Vitality actually has a better chance of getting in. I like their odds of the teams in the bottom 4. But yeah, I mean, Mad Lions and Rogue is kind of self-explanatory. They've had such a good split. G2 looks like after this past weekend that they're going to have some sort of semblance of life with the wins over Fnatic and Vitality. And I know people are going to give me a lot of crap for XL. They lost to Schalke this past weekend. They beat Misfits. But I don't know. I still have some faith. This is one of those teams that like I thought would do fairly well this season, and they let me down a little bit. They had to make some mid-season changes, but I think they're okay. And I think when you look at their upcoming schedule this weekend, it's Origin, who I think are just like I think Origin's awful right now. Like they had that one week where Jack Troll came in, and it was like the honeymoon phase of Jack Troll being in the team, and things looked really good for a week, and now they're just like totally downhill. So I think that XL has the advantage over Origin. I think XL can beat Fnatic again just because Fnatic just looks lost. Like, I think they'll qualify because they do have a slight advantage here, right? But there's a chance that XL could win that, and Fnatic gets in at 6th, which is insane. And then XL versus G2, which is difficult to call right now too. G2 actually does look like they're getting somewhere further than they have been most of the split, but I would bet on XL. In my opinion, if I had to. And then as for SK, SK I actually think is much better than people give them credit for. They also play Origin this week, in G2 and Fnatic, so they have a very similar schedule to, or they have an identical schedule to XL, just in different days. I think that SK is a really good team. I do know that there are some things about, there's concerns about Trick. They just announced today that they had signed a rookie jungler, just in case anything goes wrong. So we'll see if they have to do that this weekend. I don't know for sure either way. I just know that they made that signing. But I think SK is really good. I think they should handily beat Origin. I think that they could also beat SK, or could beat G2 or Fnatic. I've been very impressed with coaching change to Jesus, with the roster swap that made absolutely no damn sense to me at the beginning of the midseason. Also, like, I don't know, SK's been probably the surprise for me if we're talking about LEC teams in terms of how they perform relative to expectation.
Tyler, your 6 teams are?
My 6 teams are Rogue, Lions, G2, Fnatic, Origin, and I'll look back there, and XL. I made this tweet earlier in the week, but I'm a stand by it now. I said that the LEC sometimes, and a lot of times during the online play of the season, is exactly the same as LCS, except better production and a bit fancier of an accent when it comes to the casters. And I stand by that. I stand by it wholeheartedly. I don't really trust any of these teams, really. I trust Rogue inherently inside and deep in my heart. I will always, that is my European team. I believe in them. But when I don't feel confident in SK, I don't feel confident in Rogue, I don't feel confident really in any of these teams. For my list, I'm going with the teams I feel are the strongest. And SK bringing a rookie jungler in the last week, that scares me. Even if they're going with Trick, if you're a Trick, you're not happy about that. You are in a great position. You are leading. You're currently in the playoff hunt, and they're bringing someone that might replace you if you slip up once. I don't like that. I think SK has a very good foundation, but when push comes to shove, and I know Origins looked awful. I know they look awful. We've beaten that drum every single week on the show, how boring they are, how they're a train wreck, how Astralis and the entire Umbrella company is having troubles, money issues, all that jazz. But I look at Alfari and I say Alfari might be the best player in Europe right now. He might be the best player in Europe. He is trying to drag this team through the mud And I still, when it comes down to it, in a super week where I'm going to put my money on a region that's been very topsy-turvy, the play hasn't been that high this split, I'm going to bet on Origin because they're the most talented players on their roster when it comes to a lot of these soupy teams. I believe in Alfari. If I put money on Alfari or anyone on SK, I'm going to believe in Alfari because he is one of, if not the best player in Europe right now, and it would be a damn shame if he's not in the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, Alfari should leave and go find a team where he can actually, live up to the potential that he has. He's a player that should be on the world final stage. He is that dang good. And if Origin can't make the freaking playoffs in a season where there is no real hierarchy, there's no super team in Europe where there's so many, the play is so low, it will be an embarrassment of embarrassment. So I'm believing Alfari. I want them to win so badly because I want to see Alfari go far because I think he's such a special player. But in all honesty, I don't trust any of these teams right now. I guess I trust G2 the most of everyone, along with Rogue, just because they're my boys. But G2, at the end of the day, they look a bit coming back alive. And if I'm betting on pure talent because of how messy the split has been, these are my 6 teams. I don't really feel confident in anyone, but if I'm going to bet on anyone, I'm betting on Alfari.
I'll go next real quick, Emily, because I believe in God Gilius, and that is all you need to know as it pertains to.
Bring up God Gilius.
And that was obviously going to be me.
I was surprised when I got the Schalke question because I was completely ready to break down Rogue Mad Lions matchup, but I was shocked that someone didn't just interrupt and just go God Gilius. That's the reason why they're doing well.
No. We let you speak, and then when time comes that it's my turn, then I put in the God Gilius. Nice. There is nothing iron about Erzberger Demir. Demir, by the way, his last name does translate to iron from Turkish. There is nothing iron about this man. He is literally carrying this team to the playoffs on his back. Now, the other picks, definitely comfort picks. They are obviously the top 5 in the league right now. I believe they will. I don't know what order they're going to be in. This is not in the order I believe the standings will be, except for Schalke in 6th. I do believe they squeeze into the playoffs. They do need, the best situation for them would be for Excel to have a very bad weekend. So if Excel have tough games against G2 on Sunday and they play Origin, who are in the playoff hunt, also playing Fnatic, who need to rebound as well. So they're going to have a tough weekend, will Excel. Of course, Schalke will also. They play Vitality, they play Fnatic, and they play Mad Lions. But to me, Vitality is a winnable game. I think that is the most winnable of the weekend of the 3 teams for Schalke. Then you got Mad Lions. Maybe in this particular game, because Mad Lions have already made the playoffs, maybe Mad Lions will be less motivated in this game than Schalke will be in this game on Saturday. So maybe there's a chance there for God Gilius to stretch them across the finish line. Fnatic will be the toughest game of the weekend, in my opinion, for them, because Fnatic might still be deciding their playoff fate by then, and they might need a win. That's going to be a tough one for Schalke. But I believe in that 9.71%. I believe, and I want to see those storylines, Emily. I want to see the fun storylines where we get a team like Schalke improbably making the playoffs. Give it to me, and then a first-round exit doesn't matter. Schalke made it.
Arda, I have a question for you.
I mean,
yes.
Would you rather have God Gilius or Alfari?
God Gilius, come on. What kind of question is this? Are you kidding me?
I would rather have Alfari.
God,
Yeah.
what kind of question is this?
Sorry, Arda.
I'm sorry, Arda.
Who are your 6? Who are your 6 teams, Emily?
So I also went the boring road. I think I agree completely with Jacob. I don't know the order, but I also said obviously Rogue Mad Lions already made it. G2, SK, Excel, and Fnatic. Despite the SK jungle things, also when we made this list, I did not know about the whole trick thing. But I will say that I think the biggest thing is the team that I feel like was hurt the most, if I remember mathematically. I haven't calculated all the probabilities, but in terms of the win rates they have is Origin, because they are tied with a lot of the teams. Whereas like the way the Super Week ends up shaking out, I think it's going to be the toughest for them just because of who plays who and when. It's really still hard for me to believe in Fnatic at all, because I think they have really similar issues that we've seen all split and we haven't seen them improve on a lot of those. But I mean, it's hard not to believe in G2 after the, like, they always manage to beat Fnatic, and it's actually really hilarious. It's hard not to believe in G2 given, like, not only their roster and their pedigree, but the fact that they did have an up week going into this final week. And hopefully, we've talked about them being stymied with, like, a lack of practice, and, you know, Perks' father passed away, which is just a, like, awful thing to happen in general. But then on top of it, you know, he had to take some time off and hasn't looked as good. I think that with more practice time, with more time to kind of, like, shed that and leave that behind them, I think they should enter this Super Week really, really strong, which doesn't bode well for a team like Misfits, for example, who they face on day 2. Yeah, I still like SK. I think XL are actually better than a lot of people give them credit for. In a lot of these, like, matchups, it's really difficult because, again, I know I brought this up previously, but, like, a lot of it is really going to come down to draft. And I think especially how teams approach on 10-15, like the Caitlyn Morgana bot lane, which we saw, you know, some LEC teams picked it and their opponents didn't know what to do with it a lot of the time, or they seemed a little bit further behind in kind of bringing that to the forefront. So I'm expecting to see a lot more interesting draft strategies going into this final week, especially with it being a Super Week and having people play each other back to back. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys covered the rest of it. Mine are pretty boring because they match up exactly with Jacob. So, but the reason why I'm, like, counting Origin out is actually just because of, like, who they have to play, who has momentum going into this final week, and their actual, like, matchup, the actual matchup records of the team.
They have a terrible road ahead. Like, it's XL, SK, and Rogue for them this week, and I don't know if they can win a single one of those games, to be honest, because, like, SK and XL are, like, feel like they're coming in a little hot, SK in particular, and we'll see how this jungle change, if that goes through, happens with them, or, like, what it does to them. But yeah, like, I don't know, this may be an 0-3 week for Origin. We're
gonna find out. I mean, Tyler did put them in the playoffs in his bracket, so we will see.
Put upset on Caitlyn.
I didn't put Origin in my top 6. I put Alfari and Friends. Maybe upset.
Hey,
if
upset,
can...
I like upset. I think he's really good.
When it comes down to it, I don't believe in any of these little teams right now. I think LEC is if LCS is Burger King right now, LEC is McDonald's, right? They're both, neither are high.
You're saying McDonald's is higher end than Burger King? Is that what you're saying?
No one likes Burger King in my part.
What are you talking about? A Whopper is amazing.
No one likes the Burger King part.
All right. First of all, this analogy is not good.
That's a good analogy.
So
if our producers can clip Tyler saying nobody goes to Burger King and put that on Twitter and see what happens.
There's similar parity, but I still think that LEC teams, like, not just mechanically, but, like, their understanding of, like, minion management and, like, when to freeze a lane and, like, basics like that is better than LCS. Can I just say?
They're better, but it's still sloppy. I really don't trust any of these teams, so I'm going to go with pure talent, and that's why I'm going for Origin.